All right, guys, so I am back on this video with my camera now pointing in the right direction. So this first activity is a practical life activity. It also serves for hand-eye coordination, for fine motor skill development, and this one is particularly transferring materials using tongs. So here I have set up, it's just an ice tray and a bowl, a pair of tongs, and puff balls. So in your household, you might have ice trays and any small objects that you can find to put in these little holes. Even if you use goldfish or small crackers, like it can be an edible experience. Like pick them out with the tongs, put them in the bowl, and at the end you can eat them. So basically this is just practicing using those tongs to pick up a small object and put them in the bowl. And then once they're all in the bowl, you can use the tongs to take them out of the bowl and put them back into the individual compartments of the tray. When you're doing this, it's important to only have exactly the amount of items that will fit in the holes. This is just helping children pay attention to those cues and not have one that goes missing. The food one can be challenging if they decide to eat it before they go back and forth. But if you give this example in a lesson as a transferring activity, like, look, we're gonna pick this up and put it in the bowl. Tongs are a fine motor skill that does require, some dexterity. So some of the youngest ones may have a more challenging experience to do this. So using something soft like a puff ball or any other like little small, squishy items that you can find might be easier. The older ones, you could put smaller, like harder objects because they're a little more experienced with tongs. But this is just one example of something that we do daily in our classroom, and all of the children typically enjoy this activity. This is a similar one, but this one is transferring with a spoon. So on this one, I just had a small wooden spoon. When I took a picture of this, I realized that a couple of the puff balls were missing, but I would actually have this filled by the time children were back in the classroom so that there would be one for every hole in the ice tray. So same concept. You're just anything you can put in there that they can scoop. You could find rocks outside. Maybe they can help do that. You can scoop rocks. Anything small that you can fit in here with this activity. So this one is one of the favorites. This is what we call the slotted box with chips, even though it's technically not a box. This is just a jar, and on this jar I have cut a slot in the top that these small chips will fit into. So it's like a piggy bank. You can actually use a piggy bank if you have an older child that isn't going to put money in their mouth. You can just give them a pile of change and a piggy bank. So it works kind of similar to that. Or you can do it with a younger child if you're supervising. If you have poker chips, or you can make things. Some people, like if you're skilled, you can make them out of little wood pieces, like balsa wood, stuff like that. You can make actually wood chips. Anything, typically that you can find that would, work to go through like a slot like this. And we always want to do our activities. I forgot to mention this when showing the first two, but like this one, we always want them to work from left to right, because typically when we're doing writing or we're doing math problems, anything like that, we're working from left to right. So all of these activities are already instilling, working from left to right. So when you set up the tray for them, set it up with left to right. They may move it all around and end up doing it all different ways, but for the start and for when we give them the lesson, we do those lessons from left to right. So going from left to right. All right, this is just an example of it from the side. So you can just kind of see it's just a very small jar. It's got, just a pop-on lid that pops right off. So the ones in the classroom, when it fills up, a lot of them just open it and dump it right back in the bowl all by themselves. All right, this one is just made with a Parmesan cheese shaker. And these are just little, they were bamboo skewers that I cut the sharp tips off of. So they're just little sticks. There's the longer ones here and the shorter ones here. in this one. So typically this is kind of a two-part activity. They can put the longer ones in here and the longer ones stay sticking out of the jar. And they can put the smaller ones in here and the smaller ones fit all the way inside the jar. And then this is just a screw on top that comes right off. They can dump them back out and put them back in their respective spaces. But you can do this with kind of anything. There's kind of a cool one if you have a strainer basket. You can turn a strainer basket upside down, and you can even use like dry spaghetti, you know, to poke in through the holes. If you don't have bamboo skewers, that's a hard word to say together. You can use, pasta in anything that has a small hole. So those are like all like fine motor, you know, activities, you know, toothpicks you can cut the ends off of, things like that. This one is just a cardboard little box that I poked holes in, and same thing, just small bamboo skewers that I've cut small, and they can poke them down into these holes. And typically these go all the way down in the box, and then the lid comes off and they can take them right back out. And this, you know, you're not gonna put, you know, a giant amount of these things, you know, you're gonna put a few out at a time, and as they maybe disappear or get lost, you can replace them, but you don't want to put like a crazy amount on there, because then it's just kind of overwhelming for the toddler. This is the same thing, just a different angle, so you can kind of see. It's just a box like this. A lot of these things that I have gotten actually at Daiso, they have a lot of small stuff like this. This one is actually the slotted box with the chips now. These are just old-fashioned blue poker chips, the old plastic style that they used to have before the poker chips got all fancy for playing poker at home. And again, this is just kind of like a piggy bank type of thing. You can also, like if you have an older child, you can make this more challenging. You can make this slit in the box very small, where they really have to push these things through to get them through, to give them some more challenging, you know, work when that's being involved. And again, we're going from left to right. This is similar to the one with the small sticks, but these are long, like long bamboo skewer sticks. So they actually stick out of the box when they're placed inside, and it makes kind of a pattern. They can see which holes they've put them in and try to fill all of them up. Again, just things you can do this with a cardboard box that comes, you know, if you get an Amazon or you have a small one, just tape it up and make holes in it, you know, like, or, you know, if you have little, you know, a box or something that you don't, a puzzle box or something that something came in that you don't really care about anymore and you want to convert it, you know, just poke some holes in it, and you can make an activity like this. You can also make an activity using like a wipey box. A lot of you have wipes boxes at home. If you find bigger items that they can push in and out of that, you know, the hole in the top of the wipes box, that can make a fun, challenging activity. And then they can kind of shake it also, because there's room in there and they like the sound. This is just clothespins. If you have any type of clothespins at home, and then something they can actually clip them on. So like this activity, they can clip the clothespins right on the outside of this tray. And this is just a fine motor, you know, we have to squeeze it and then be able to put it on the edge of that. Some of them are really good with their fine motor. They can do that. Some of them, it's more challenging. So, you know, kind of just gauge where your child is at, because we don't want them becoming frustrated, but we want them to be able to, you know, have a challenge in doing it without becoming frustrated. Now these are open and close activities. So again, practically just learning how to open and close. These are just all kind of face lotion containers. There's a tiny jar in there. Things that you may have just on your makeup table. Maybe they're almost empty. Maybe you save them for something. Maybe you have these little containers throughout your house. But this is fun for them, just practicing opening and closing. Sometimes they really like to put little objects inside these jars and, you know, close them up and take them out, which is fine. We have some little gems and rocks in our classroom that are for a different activity, but they love to put those in and out of these containers. And so it kind of becomes like a dual activity, which is fine, again, as long as it stays positive. These are just some different examples of things you can open and close. These ones open and close in different ways. So there's like this necklace box that opens and closes. It's kind of got like pressurized, so it does that little snap. lids that just go on and off of these different types of containers. So, looking around your house, seeing, even if it's just, containers from your kitchen that open and close, you can make a little basket for your child. And this one is like little things that zip or open in different ways. Toddlers absolutely love things that zip, that they can fill up with things. So if you have purses that you're not using or you don't mind them playing with, or little wallets or stuff like that, they love being able to zip, put stuff in there, zip it up, carry it around. They love that kind of activity. So that's always a good one too. And I think that was here's some of that was the last. So these now, the rest of these are food. So this one is our egg slicing. And I've kind of made it a little more general than we might have it in the classroom when I'm giving like a multi-step lesson. But this is really essentially all you would need for doing boiled egg peeling and slicing. Easiest if you use brown eggs because they can distinguish the difference between the peel and the egg itself. But you're going to have them get the egg, and then they're going to put the egg into the bowl and bring this to a table. And then they're going to crack the egg here on the cutting board. So crack, crack, crack. You can roll it a little bit just to get a lot of little pieces. And then they're going to peel one little piece at a time and put it into this bowl here. So this is a discard bowl, and this is going to be an empty bowl. So once all the peels are now in this bowl and your egg is clean and ready, they can use the egg slicer to slice the egg. So this opens up, egg goes in, you push it down. Now you've got all these lovely sliced pieces of egg. And now that's where the tongs come in. So rather than picking all of that up with their hands, we have them use the tongs to pick up each little slice of egg and put it into this bowl that's now empty. And all of our good pieces will go in here. And then after they've transferred it all from that bowl to there, then they're allowed to eat it. They can share it if they like in the classroom with friends, but typically they are pretty set on eating it all by themselves, which is fine. That's what the activity is for. If you have a younger toddler that's actually really good at peeling but not so good at tongs, you can help them, or they can just resort to using their fingers if they need to. So this one is strawberry, and again, I set this up rather simply. So strawberries, you would just kind of pre-cut the tops off of them. If you have an older child, you can have them, if you have a strawberry core, you can have them, pull the tops off or cut the tops off. If you have one of our nice little plastic knives, they can probably do that. Otherwise, typically I just pre-cut the tops off and I put them in one of the bowls. And then the child opens this, places the strawberry inside, and you want to be mindful that you have strawberries that fit, because sometimes strawberries in the store are huge. So trying to find strawberries that actually kind of fit into this strawberry slicer. If you don't have a strawberry slicer, and you have an older child, they can just slice the strawberries with a plastic knife. Would work fine. Or if you have a butter knife and that they can use. Again, same thing. Once this is sliced, they take the tongs and move those pieces into the other bowl. Once they've done all that, then they can eat it. This is our apple slicing tray. So apples, we bring, they pretty much always need help with the core because this part is hard. So typically when we do that in the classroom, we have them stand up. We both put our hands on it and we push down together and we core the apple. And then they pull out all the pieces themselves and place it into one of the bowls. From there, the core goes away because we don't need that anymore. And they can pull one slice at a time and put it onto the cutting board. And then this chopper, they use to cut the apple smaller. So it's a nice small toddler size. Again, if you don't have one of these, they can use a plastic knife if you have that type of thing in your environment. That they can just cut them with. Otherwise, these choppers are great. You just chop down. They can cut that one slice of apple into, 2 or 3 smaller slices. Those smaller slices go into this bowl. And then again, once they've done all of their slicing, then they can eat it. There's also tongs here in the back if you encourage them to use the tongs to pick up those pieces of apple and place them in the bowl. This is just lots of different fine motor, you know, gross motor activities going on. Gross motor by lifting these trays and carrying them and then taking all of their dishes when they're finished to the kitchen. Fine motor with all these small, you know, little things that they're doing with their hands and fingers. And then practical life, because this is practical. We're making food for ourselves, or we're making food to share with our friends or family. This is our spreading tray, so relatively simple. One bowl is for crackers. One bowl is for sun butter. If you're home and you're doing peanut butter, any other kind of spread like cream cheese, you could put small pieces of bagel in here. It's just a spreading activity. You can do toast if you don't have crackers, and then a small spreader like this. If you don't have a small spreader, it can be challenging. But if you even had like a small plastic knife or something like that, usually can work. Some children will even try this as best they can with a full-size butter knife because they really like this activity. So you're just putting, you know, enough, you know, of whatever butter or spread you're using in here, and your other side is going to have, you know, whatever they're spreading on, and they can spreading it and then eating it. And I think that's the last one that I have on there. So these are all just examples of activities that you can do in your home. If you have any questions about any of those, you can let me know and I will answer them. There might be other activities that I can talk to you about that I didn't include on here that you can do. So hopefully this was helpful, and I will see you all again soon. All right, bye.